I am married to a man who refuses to discuss any of this. Well, I sympathize with you. You remember that old movie? I was married to a vampire. Well, you're looking at him right here. I mean, it does happen, and I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he's not a vampire, but his cognitive, I mean, your frequency, dear, is up here. Okay, Lizzie. I mean, Lizzie, your frequency's up here, and his is way down here. So that's why there's going to be a very, very hard connection. You cannot lower yourself down frequency in order to operate with him. It's going to be very, very tough. You're being, your frequency is rising higher and higher every day, and if he decides to stay here, even with, and you're going to have to watch how this all plays out on when the EBS comes, and see what his reactions are at that point. And if he's still throwing, after the EBS and all the full disclosure happens, and if he's still in a negative, scent or frame of mind, then, you got to let it go. I'm sorry to say that, but you just got to let it go. My fan club is just completed the first stage. I don't even know if there's a fan club out there. Cheers. Everybody's gone. Why are we still dealing with the cabal? Because it's part of the movie, family. It's they're doing this to slowly wake up humanity. Because, and they're doing the slow reveal, like everything, and I'm, all the podcasters out there are making drops and comms, and of course Q is making his drops, and then you have your decoders out there, deciphering and decoding the, the comms that are being dropped by Q. So that's kind of slowly waking up humanity. Like I'm seeing huge changes in some people, gone from, dark, absolutely NPC level, to actually getting really pissed off about how the whole system is working. Okay, so this is why they're doing what they're doing. They do not want, if they reveal too fast, the cabal wins, even with all these people getting taken off the board, because it's like a vacuum. There'll be 5 more that'll want to take its place. That's what's happening, right? So they're doing everything very, very methodically right now. And if they do it too slow, then the cabal wins. If they do it too fast, the cabal wins. It has to be done just right to wake up humanity, right? This movie we are basically the shepherds of all the sheep. We are, the intuitives and the freedom fighters, the light workers, star seeds, we're all the shepherds. Okay? And we're basically discussing and communicating. All the shepherds are communicating with each other how to deal with all the millions and millions of sheep that are going to be sheared here pretty quick, right? They're all going to be running around there with no wool, and it's going to be very chilly for them, and they're going to be freaking out. Okay, so this is how that's all going to happen. There's going to be people that, will, a lot of bad things will happen, because their hospitals will stop. Maybe they won't have any more doctors, but there will be people there to guide them into these, celestial chambers and med beds, and it's like one of my followers said that is Tesla med bed like a military med bed. Well, I believe that they're all as powerful, right? If it's a frequency, because that's what we're tied to. Our heart is a frequency, and everything that we do is a frequency. The earth is a frequency, right? And if we're connected to that. And that's basically what this technology is. It's all tied in together to realign all our frequencies, so we become the healthiest that we can be. And a lot of people won't be able to accept that, right? Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of families tell people that, that they're crazy. I know. But like I said, you just have to kind of stay away from it until, and let the alliance do its job. Yeah, the banks, the banks have no option except to collapse. Now, I don't know exactly how this is going to play out. I don't. But I do know that you got to, take your money and put it very close to you right now, and make sure that you have, whatever valuables you got, keep it hidden and close by, because you're going to need them if this thing goes south, which it probably will. Do I have an opinion on podcasters who sell products or solicit? Well, some of these podcasters and that's a really, really good question, okay? Some of the podcasters aren't, pensioners like me, okay? Like they want to give the good information out there, and they're selling product. And, I bought Alex Jones' product for a lot of years, and I really enjoy his product. But somehow because he's in Austin, Texas, at the time I was up in Calgary, and it was really, really hard for me to, receive the product coming in across the line. It was just like this duty shit and all this. So I had to give it up. But, I'm hoping that maybe, one day I can, start ordering some of the stuff on there, because it was really, really good stuff. Now, the podcasters that are out there, it depends on what they're selling. But I think most of the podcasters out there are really selling some really good, healing product. And, I think, we have to, and if they're going to make a few bucks on it type thing, and help support their, their podcasts, then I totally support that. Not everybody's, I got some savings, that I've built up, and some investment, and most of my, and it's all spread out like the way it should be. And then I got my measly pension that I get. So, like I said, I'm okay, right? I'm not, I knew this was coming, and I prepared for it. But there's a lot of people that, Michael Jaco, for example, I think he's well off. Scott McKay's well off. They all got money. And, Gene Decode is probably not as rich, but, he's a military guy, that didn't, that's more into the spiritual end of things. And, if he's got a product there he's selling, then I would support him on that. But, yeah. Welcome, Philippines. Oops. Selling information? The podcaster's selling information? Well, that's kind of crossing the ethics line as far as I'm concerned. I think all the information should be free. If they're trying to sell you information, that's a red flag to me. But, if they got a product that you're taking the product, you're buying the product, and then you receive the product through mail or whatever, I think that's pretty good. But I really, right now, I've been telling people, just let's keep our money in our pocket right now until all this is over with. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I want to run through this here. Trump didn't go to Asia to receive, crowns and plaques and all kinds of badges and everything. No, he went there to make deals, okay? And anything that he is doing, when it sounds really off the wall, going, crazy stuff, whatever, there's a reason, there's an underneath current of what what his objective is. So never judge a book by its cover. Never, always give it time. When Trump makes a move that everybody's against, just watch how it plays out. Remember that thing with the tariffs? And everybody was freaking out, 50, 60, 70% tariffs. Well, that was a war, okay? But the tariffs actually build the country. Tariffs build a country. Now, if you got a product inside your country, and these companies that are, through a, we go through the common law, natural law way of doing things, and they have a product and they send over to wherever they're sending it to. If there's a little bit of a tariff going that way, 1, 2, 3%, whatever, then that doesn't hurt the product, doesn't hurt the buyer, and it certainly helps the country itself. So you're going to see this. And, when you're dealing with hundreds of trillions of dollars in trade, 1% or 2%, that basically can run a whole country, right? Yeah. And that's why they're all going to kingdoms. That's another point. All these borders that, especially look at Europe, all these borders around the world have all been man-made. There were never borders like this before man came. But the globalists put borders everywhere, and then they put rules and laws against it, right? Welcome, yeah. Oops. Now, the U.S. Republic, their strategic objective, okay, is to take over the Southern Hemisphere. Trump wants to take over the Southern Hemisphere. Why? South Africa, okay? Now, let's just look at the picture here, okay? What are the 3 closest points to South Antarctica? What's the 3 closest points? South Africa, Brazil, South America, and Australia. Right? Am I right? Okay. What is Trump bringing into the kingdom? He's bringing in South Africa, a strategic point. Okay, takes care of his southern flank. Brings in Scotland and Ireland. Takes care of his eastern flank. Brings in Canada and Greenland. Takes care of his northern flank. Okay? Then he brings in Australia and New Zealand. Takes care of his southwestern flank. You see how that works? That's what he's doing. He's going to become a global powerhouse in this economic turn that we're having. Why aren't there any redemption centers in South Mississippi? I think there is. There'll be, I believe there's 7,000 to 10,000 redemption centers inside the United States. Mississippi's not going to be left out, okay? So there's a lot of people that are in Mississippi, a lot of people that are hurting, having a tough time of things, along with Arkansas, along with Tennessee, right? So, all these communities in there will have redemption centers to go to at the appropriate time that they give notice. Do we set up a trust, or will it already? No, they will have people at the redemption centers, if you get into the redemption center, to help you set up a trust, okay? And if they don't, well, then just go set up one yourself. Yeah, you're going to have the money, and you're going to have time to do it, right? What I'm going to do is, when I get the money coming in, I'm going to basically put my phone on a shelf, and to sign the NDA, I'm going to put my phone's in the shelf or whatever. I'm going to deal with the Q phone, which I'll have people handle it, but I will not have contact, okay? For the length of time that there is going to be an EBS. Once that EBS is up, then I will have a good collective understanding about how I should conduct myself and what I'm able to reveal. Up to this point, I've got no NDA, so I can basically say what I want until I get kicked off, right? Butch Cassidy, I don't think there's anywhere yet. Yeah, we'll see. I'm so glad I caught you up. Thank you. Yeah, it's all great news. My bank knows nothing about the QFS. Yeah, well, the people, if you go to the bank manager or go to some of the executives, they know. But the people at the tills, no, they don't know anything about it. But anyways, I want everybody to say, we must have faith in our commander-in-chief. He's the one that has basically are standing between, he's the one standing between the cabal and us and total, absolute, world meltdown. And, he's the one that basically has saved our planet. Not single-handedly. He's had the help of many, many, patriots around the world that, been waiting for this time to join forces for the light, to bring all this to an end. The dark has had control of this planet for more than 44,000 years. Okay? Now, I'm going to say Trump's threat, it's not China. It's certainly not Russia. Okay? Trump, and I'm going to let you guess what threat he does have. Okay? He's got the biggest threat to him is inside his own country of the United States and just to the north, which is Canada. That's his biggest threat. But all the other countries around the world that he's doing business with, they absolutely love him. Why? Why do they love him? Because Trump is helping them break away from the dark, tyrannical, enslaved, deep state. They see that. They want to break away from it, and he's given it to them. That's why they love him. I mean, otherwise he'd be a target for every country he went to. He's only a target here inside the United States and in Canada because of the absolute mental indoctrination that Canadians and Americans have been fed since 1947. And it's gone through generations of generations. We have everybody from, the young ones, they see what's going on. The Generation Z, they're not taking the bullshit. They know what's going on. And you can see a lot of them are waking up to that. And I'm talking about the ones that are, just getting into understanding what's going on in the world up to the age of 25, 26. There's a huge percentage that know exactly what's going on and they support Trump. But then you get into the millennials, which is a lot higher percentage of agitators, and they don't understand what's going on, and they are NPCs and sleepers. I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying there's a good percentage of them that are. And then, of course, you got the Gen X. They are more of a common sense type generation, and their percentages are much higher. And they went through the 70s or the 80s and 90s and whatever, watching all this bullshit come down, and so they've seen it firsthand. So you're going to have a higher percentage of patriots in that generation. And then it comes to the boomers. Well, they're I don't have much to say about our generation. My generation is I believe we're the ones that have put this whole world on this trajectory to what it is today. I'm blaming it mainly directly on the boomers, an absolute pathetic generation that they. And I'm not talking about the ones that are before that. I'm talking about the ones that were born just after the war. They had everything fucking spoon-fed to them, along with all the bullshit and all the MK Ultra and all the mind control and the drugs and the penicillin and all that shit was fed to them, and that's why they're a fucking mess today. And but there has been some intuitives come out through that barrel of monkeys. There has been some good people that have the intuition, and I have good friends that are my age and if not older that are very, very awake and know what's going on. But the majority of the boomers have not got a fucking clue what's going on here, and they're the ones that are going to get hit the hardest.